In every classroom, there's always one student who blends into the background. The one who never raises his hand, never gets picked for group work, and hardly ever speaks unless spoken to. At Brookstone Middle School, that student was Leo. Leo wasn't a troublemaker. He wasn't loud or strange. He was just quiet, so quiet that many forgot he was even there. And honestly, he liked it that way. Most days, Leo chose the last seat by the window, what he called the forgotten row. From there, he could let the sunlight warm his desk while he drew in the corners of his notebooks or looked out at the trees. Sometimes, he imagined he was somewhere else, a world where he could build things, fly things, or do something that mattered. The classroom was full of energy every morning. Students joked, traded snacks, and borrowed pens. But none of that reached Leo. When Ms. Carter passed out the math quizzes, she didn't call his name like she did for the others. She just walked by, placed the paper on his desk face down, and moved on. Her hand was gentle, her face kind, but her eyes said it all. She didn't expect much from him. Leo turned the paper over. 35 out of 100. Another red score. Another quiet failure. He looked at it. No surprise. No emotion. Just, nothing. At lunch, Leo stayed away from the cafeteria. It was too loud, too many eyes. Instead, he walked behind the gym where no one went there, sitting on a small concrete ledge. He opened his lunchbox, 2 slices of bread with peanut butter, an apple, and a bottle of water. Nothing special. But he didn't mind. It gave him peace. From his backpack, he pulled out a crumpled sketch, a half-finished drawing of a cardboard robot. Its legs were crooked, and the design needed work, but it was his. He had been dreaming up little machines since he was 8. Robots that could walk, fly, or pick up pencils. Most never worked. But he loved trying. The process felt like magic. At home, his room was filled with broken toys, used batteries, and wires like spaghetti. His mother called it a mess. To Leo, it was a workshop. He didn't show his sketches to anyone. He knew what they would say. Everyone at school had a label. Smart kid. Athlete. Class clown. Pretty girl. Leo. He was that weird kid, the quiet one, or worse, the failure. He had heard it all. Once, after failing a science test, he walked past the teacher's lounge and heard Mr. Thomas sigh, "That Leo boy, not sure if he's even trying." Another voice replied, "Some kids just don't have it." Leo had learned not to react. Sometimes he wondered, maybe they were right. Maybe he wasn't smart. Or useful. Or meant for anything big. But then he'd go home, close his door, and start building again. That was the only place where he felt safe. One Monday morning, something new happened. The loudspeaker turned on. "Good morning, students," said Principal Reyes. "We're excited to announce a special event this year. As part of our science fair, we will have an innovation showcase. Any student can enter. Be creative. Show us your ideas." The class buzzed with excitement. "Let's build a drone. We can use my dad's 3D printer. What if we make a robot arm?" Leo sat still. His heart was racing. He had ideas. So many ideas. He had drawn over 20 projects in his notebook. But then he heard a voice. "Leo," said Jason, a loud boy who always joked around. "You signing up too?" Leo opened his mouth, then closed it. Jason laughed. "Didn't think so." Leo turned back to his desk. But something inside him felt different. That night, at home, he looked at one of his favorite sketches, a paper spaceship. Not just a drawing. He had started building it weeks ago using old parts. The plan was to make it lift off, hover, and land with a small controller. It had never worked. But the idea was still alive. He stared at the sketch. Could I finish this? Could I show it? The next morning, while the classroom was loud and busy, Leo walked to the teacher's desk. "Ms. Carter," he said. "I want to sign up for the innovation showcase." She looked surprised. "Oh. Okay. Do you have a team?" "Just me," Leo said. She handed him a clipboard. "Good luck." He wrote his name on the form. Leo Lin, solo entry. Later that day, someone saw his name on the list. "You're joining." "Alone?" "That's gonna be so awkward. Hope he doesn't burn the school down." Leo heard it all. He kept quiet. But inside, he made a promise. "I'm not trying to win. I just want to get one thing right." And so, he began. He cleared a space in his room. He opened his junk box. He pulled out old motors, wires, and broken parts. He worked every night after school. The first test failed. The spaceship flopped over. The second time, a wire burned. The third time, nothing moved. Still, he kept going. He got glue on his fingers. He poked himself with sharp wires. He ruined his bedsheet with battery acid. He cried once. Just once. Late at night, face in a pillow. Then he whispered to himself. Just get one thing right. And he kept building. The morning of the innovation showcase finally came. Leo had barely slept. He stayed up late the night before, testing his paper spaceship one last time. It lifted off the table for 3 seconds, wobbled a little, and then landed softly. It wasn't perfect, but it worked. He carefully placed the spaceship into a shoebox lined with soft fabric. His mother looked in, curious. "What's this?" she asked. "Just something for school," Leo answered. She smiled and said, "Good luck." Those words stayed in Leo's mind as he walked to school. The gym was full of noise and excitement. There were colorful banners, tables with shiny displays, and students wearing matching shirts. Some booths had screens, lights, and even music. Leo found a spot in the back corner. He set up his small table, opened his shoebox, and placed his spaceship carefully on a plain board. His display was simple. No lights. No signs. Most people walked past without stopping. Some students whispered and giggled. "That's it? Looks like a toy. He's really here alone." Leo tried to ignore them. His hands were cold. His heart was beating fast. Still, he stood quietly beside his project, waiting. After a while, a teacher stepped onto the stage. She held a clipboard and a microphone. We're now ready to hear from our finalists, she said. These 10 projects were chosen for their creativity and effort. Names were called. Cheers followed each one. Students high-fived and smiled. Leo's name wasn't on the list. He wasn't surprised. He started to pack up his project. Then the teacher spoke again. We have one more name to call. This student came alone, but his work caught a judge's eye. Please welcome Leo Lin. The crowd fell silent. Leo froze. Leo? Are you here? Slowly, Leo stepped forward. He held his shoebox with both hands. Every step felt heavy. Leo walked up to the stage. The lights were bright. The gym felt huge. Hundreds of students watched him. He placed the spaceship on the table, took a deep breath, and turned on the switch. A quiet hum filled the room. The spaceship's small motor began to spin. The ship rose gently into the air, hovered, and made a small circle. Then it landed softly. For a moment, no one moved. Then, the crowd clapped. Loudly. Leo looked down at the spaceship. His chest felt warm. The principal walked up with a smile. That was amazing, Leo. Would you like to say something? Leo took the microphone. His voice was soft but clear. I know I'm not the best student. I know some people laugh at me. But I worked hard on this. I just wanted to prove I could do one thing right. There was a pause. Then another wave of applause. The next day, Leo walked into school as usual. But this time, things felt different. Some students smiled at him. A few gave him a thumbs up. Even his teachers greeted him kindly. Leo, said Ms. Carter, would you like to help set up the new science kits? Leo nodded. He was not famous. He was not suddenly popular. But he was no longer invisible. He was seen. Later that week, the school newsletter featured a story. Quiet student builds something amazing. Leo cut it out and placed it in his notebook. The same notebook filled with sketches and ideas. He kept building. 1 year later, Leo stood on the stage again. This time, he was a guest speaker. He wore the same sneakers, but he stood tall. The gym was full of new students. He looked at them and said, "Last year, I was scared. I thought I wasn't good at anything. But I focused on one thing I loved. I worked hard and didn't give up. That made all the difference." He held up the small spaceship, now in a clear display case. If you feel invisible, like I once did, remember this: you don't need to be good at everything. You just need to believe in one thing and give it your best. The crowd clapped again. Leo smiled. He no longer felt small. He felt strong. Leo's story teaches us that you don't need to be great at everything. You don't need to win all the time. Just believe in one thing you love and give it your best. That is more than enough. Remember, if you feel invisible, like Leo once did, don't give up. Find your thing. Work on it. Believe in it. That one thing could become your turning point.